Hello. Give me a few seconds. I need to go somewhere. So guys, I heard the students gonna be joining from YouTube, right? They're just gonna watch the live, I think. So who's gonna be in this call? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, the committees will be in this call. The one in charge of this program,
Okay.
with you.
Oh, okay. So there's only like four of you guys, huh? I mean, if I were to ask any questions, I think should be enough, huh? No, because at first I thought it's gonna be like everyone's gonna be in the session and I can just ask questions and hopefully anybody can like answer. So now there's only four of you, right? Hopefully you guys can respond to my stupid questions every now and then. Who's the one talking to me on WhatsApp? Not in this call. Okay. Sorry, the slides. Do I have to share it myself or who's gonna share the slides here?
Which one would you feel more comfortable with? Would you prefer controlling it yourself, or would you like us to do it for you?
I'm not sure. Maybe let me try. Desktop Windows. Can you guys see my screen now? Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
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 Oh, okay. No, because from here, I'm not sure whether you guys can see my screen or not. Give me a second. Let me do something. Okay. Awesome. Anybody joining us? Are we waiting for anyone?
I think we can start right now.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
are you settling already?
Can start anytime.
Okay.
Just that I thought that there's gonna be more. So
Oh,
so weird. This is so weird because I used to give talk to like maybe close to like 50 or something, and now there's only four. That's right. I need you guys to like cheer me up a bit. Okay. I think we can start now. So you guys have started broadcasting this on YouTube, yeah?
yes.
Oh,
We're gonna allow MC to start the program, and then invite you.
okay. Go ahead. You can start now.
Okay. Okay. Assalamualaikum, everyone. Good day, everyone. Before we begin, let me state first few reminders. So first and foremost, please mute or turn off your microphones for those who are in Microsoft Teams when the speaker is presenting his discussion to avoid unnecessary noise. Okay, secondly, if you have questions for the participants on live YouTube, please write them down in the chat box in the YouTube comment section, which will be addressed by the speaker during the open Q&A session later. And lastly, we would like to also request all the participants to fill out the attendance form later for the star points and the e-certificate of participation. Please also fill in the evaluation form once this program comes to an end. So both links could be found pinned in the comment sections of this YouTube live. So hello again, everyone. My name is Fatin Amani, and I'll be your MC for today's program. On behalf of the Secretariat of English Language and Literature, we have invited our special guests for you for this event to be fruitful and engaging. So at this point, we'd like to start this sharing session with the recitation of Surah Al-Fatiha. Yeah, I mean, Ya Rabbal Alamin. So next, I would like to welcome the opening remarks by Sister Shahira, our program manager for today's program. Please welcome.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And hello, I am Shahira, the program manager for our Tnnba chapter 8. Okay, so I am so glad to be here today with our guest speaker, Brother Afam Adnan. Okay, so to brief a little about our speaker today, I would like to tell you that he is currently a UX writer at Maybank and was a UX writer at Happy Fresh up until September 2022. And also has previous experiences, also include communication executive at Grab and creative coordinator at Astro. Okay, so I would like all of you, those who are currently joining us in YouTube Live, to know that the objective for this sharing of this talk is that we want to expose the students, especially Banner students, on UX writing as per requested by our department, by our lecturers. Okay, so not only that, we would like to give an overview of advertising and marketing and some reasons why it is worth a shot and give an insight into how to kickstart your career in this industry. I mean, in terms of the UX writing itself. So I guess that's all that I would like to say for now. So thank you. I'll pass the floor to Sister Fatin.
Okay, thank you, Sister Shaira, for the opening remarks then. Okay, so again, welcome to the new normal Benel Alumni Chapter 8 with the theme of Benel Graduate in the Advertising and Marketing Industry. So at this juncture, to formally and finally kick off our program, I would like to give the virtual floor to Mr. Afham Adnan, a very much celebrated Benel graduate, to give his presentation. Please welcome. Mister, I think you're mute yourself.
Oh, I was on mute all this while, is it? Sorry about that. Sorry, I was about to say, I can see that the subheader of this banners on your pictures, like banner graduate, something in the advertising and marketing industry. Let me clarify that a bit. I wouldn't call UX writing as a part of marketing or advertising, but it actually belongs under tech. So what is tech? That's the mystery today. So I'm gonna explain it to you guys. So welcome to UX Writing 101. And my name is Afam. I was a linguistic and literature major from IUM. I graduated back in, sorry, I can't remember. I think 2016. And yeah, now I'm 31 years old. Like, how old are you guys? Sorry for asking.
About
21.
21.
Oh, okay, so young. Like I'm 10 years older than you guys. So I was a back then when I was studying, I was a Bukowski wannabe, so I wrote a lot of depressing poetry, but I've stopped for quite a while. And now I'm currently UX writer in Maybank. And yeah, before I start talking about UX writing, I would like to address something that I feel like very important. What happened to Benel graduates after graduation? So I mean, this is not based on any data. This is just my observation so far. So when you guys graduated, most of the time you guys gonna settle down with either of these three careers. Number one is you could pursue something in academics. Maybe you become a lecturer or teacher or tutor or whatever it is. Or maybe you pursue your master's or your PhD. Number two is all those careers that falls under writing. This includes copywriting, which is also part of marketing and advertising, and also content writing and also journalism. And number three is everything else that is not academics and writing, others or whatever fate decides for you. So I won't call. Usually, when people graduate, right, and they took the third option, which is others, right. Most of the time, they are not prepared. Some people do pursue careers other than academics and writing, and they have a career planning even before they graduate, and that is good. But most of us, including me, we just go with whatever fate decides for us. And to be honest, I believe that that is not a good thing, because when you graduated and you go out there in the job market, the competition is very tough. Like you will compete with a lot of students that has achieved like so much more than you, that is more smarter than you, who has like a lot of previous experience that is like substantially better than you, and they might have like the best thing in the world, which is connections, and or what we as Malay people call cables, right? And how are you going to compete with all these people when you go into the job market? So I believe that one of the things that you can do is that to have a proper career planning from today. So if you don't plan your career starting from today, you will face a huge problem later where you just go wherever fate takes you. So don't be like me. Use this opportunity to start planning your career, regardless whether it's in writing or academic or whatever that fate. Whatever that doesn't fall under academics and writing. And what you can do is that you don't have to like plan like you don't have to plan every single steps, but the best you could do is that to just list down like maybe 5 or 10 careers that you might be interested in, and to just study about it and decide on which one you want to pursue and start pursuing it from now instead of later when you graduated. Okay, so today I'm going to talk a bit more about this one, career in writing. So generally, okay, this is not all, but most of the time when you graduated and you become a writer, you become one of these three. You will become like one of these three here. It's either copywriter, content writer, or journalist. Let's start with journalism first. Journalism has been here for thousands of years. Like people has been writing about events that happen around them like since the beginning of time, and it's a very good career path, I would say. A lot of people don't know this, but once you become a journalist, you can easily transition into corporate roles anytime, because most people, if they want to hire, for example, a PR executive or marketing executive, or maybe whatever profession that requires you to write for corporate, they will go for journalists, because in general, journalists are very good writers. Number two is copywriter. Copywriter is also quite an established profession. I guess it goes all the way back to World War II, I would say, when Nazi was committing Holocaust to the Jew people, so to the Jewish people. They would produce all these pamphlets to persuade people to start like capturing all these Jewish people. So back then, copywriting has flourished. If you guys are not clear what copywriting is all about writing to convert customer. So whatever that you see out there, billboards, advertisement on your website. So all of them are written by copywriters. So copywriters write to promote to market products. Yeah. And number three, this one is quite new, content writer. So these people are the one who write your like short form articles, for example, articles that you see in says, articles that you see in World of Buzz and shit like that. So it's quite new. Mostly it's quick content. It's not as strictly defined compared to journalism, but it is still also quite a good profession, even though it's quite new among the three. So today, I would like to introduce you to something that might be new to you guys. Okay, for those who are in the call here, before this call, I would like to ask you: have you ever heard of UX writing before this? You can raise your hand if you have.
No.
So nobody ever heard of UX writing. That's good. Okay, so I would like to introduce you to UX writing. I'm sorry, this is the only picture that I can find. I just Google like memes, UX writing, blah blah blah, and this is all that I can get. I'm sorry, it's lame, I know. So today I'm going to talk about UX writing, and it's quite a straightforward talk. Number one, I would explain to you guys what is UX writing, and number two, what's so great about it, and number three, how to land your first UX writing job. So, are you guys ready? Okay, before that, a disclaimer. So, I'm not in any way trying to advocate like all Benno students should go into UX writing. No, like that's not my point here. My point is that I want to introduce you guys to something that you guys never heard of, so that you guys can consider this as one of your career option. Because back then when I was young, when I was like you guys, right? Nobody ever talk about this. So this thing is like, but I want to make what I want to what I want to do today is to introduce you guys to this thing. And if let's say after this talk you guys decided that okay, this is not for me, that is okay. At least you guys are making a conscious decision that okay, I know about UX writing, but I'm not interested in it. But if let's say after this talk you guys are interested in pursuing career in UX writing, you guys can start doing that. Yeah. Because before this, I'm quite sure that you guys never heard of this, right? Okay. So let's get started. What is UX writing? So before we start talking about UX writing, let's talk about websites and apps in general. So back in the old days, websites would look like this. I'm sure that this website is older than you guys. Have you guys seen any websites nowadays that look like this? I'm sure you haven't, right? So back in 1990s, like websites looked like this. It's so ugly. It's not well designed, and it's very Spartan. Like everything is like wall of text, and there's no sense in the design. And sometimes please ignore the content. Like I don't plan to insult any Christian here. I just take like whatever example I can find. Websites look like this. Imagine I'm sure all of you guys are using Instagram, TikTok, yeah, YouTube, Facebook. And imagine if the website that you use nowadays look like this, you won't enjoy using it at all. Yeah, this is my last example. I promise you guys. Okay, so in general, back then websites look like this, and it evolves until what we have today. So back then, why does it look like this? Because of course, like internet just started, right? And everyone is just there's no established rules, or there's no established uh best practices yet. So that's why everyone is just doing whatever they want to do back then. And back then, most websites are built by one guy or multiple guys wearing one hat, which is the webmaster. So back then, building websites are only something that is done by people who are really, really, really nerds, right? Because back then, not everyone has computers. Internet connection is not very good. But all these people who got the access early back in 1990s, they are the one who built like all these ancient websites. And back then, webmasters are so powerful because number one, most of the time they are the one who own the website. Number two, they are the one who build the code. So these are like all the nerd shit that is happening behind the scene, like all the random letters. Codings. I also don't know. Sorry. And they are the one who design it. As you can see back then, there's no design at all. I mean, I'm not sure like they are designing this based on what. And number four, they wrote every single text on the website. So back then, there's no UX writer. Webmaster are the one who's doing all this on their own. Like every single elements of the website that are done by the webmaster. There's no specialization yet back then. And nowadays, like nobody in the right mind would call themselves a webmaster because like because nowadays like the the structure behind like building a website or an app is very robust. It has evolved into something that is like very different from back then. So back then we have like just one guy, which is the webmaster, doing everything. Now things are a bit more complicated, and now building a website, I would say that it has become as complicated as building an actual building. So these are a typical Scrum team. So let's ignore the fact that I call this a Scrum team. I'm not going to explain it now. This will take me like another half an hour. So a typical Scrum team would consist of product management, developers or engineers, and also UX. So among these three, right, the only group that needs to learn how to code are the developers and engineers. So developers and engineers are, if we compare to like building actual buildings, right, they are the engineers, they are also the contractors, the one who literally lay the bricks one by one. So these are the engineers. Product management are equivalent to the product managers. They are the one who manage the timeline of the project. They are the one who connect the team with the higher ups. They are the one who translate business goals into the website itself. And then we have this final team, which is UX. UX stands for user experience, and I am a UX writer, and I belong in this team. So basic component of a UX team. This, I mean, I'm like oversimplifying this for you guys. Actually, for this one, we will also have like product analytics. You have testing engineers and so on. But I'm not going to mention that and make things more complicated for you guys. So a typical UX team would have these three elements. I mean, these three key members. Number one is UI UX designer. Number two is UX researcher, and number three is me, UX writer. What I mean, I keep on using this word UX, but what does it mean by user experience? So user experience is what is your experience as a user when you use digital products, and the goal of UX is to ensure a seamless and satisfying experience for user. Why is it important? It's because the success of your product depends on the satisfaction of your user, and how do we achieve that? Is by designing a product experience that will always satisfy your user. As you notice, I keep on repeating to the satisfy. So using now TV, because back then we are like everyone is watching TV, right? But right nowadays, nobody watch TV anymore, and we are all on Instagram. So now that's the main entertainment channel, and how people keep you glued on Instagram is by creating the best user experience, so that you guys are, in the end, for social media, the goal is always to keep you addicted to the interaction. And now I believe that you guys are. So if you guys say that you are not addicted to social media, then you guys are lying. Okay. uh, UX design improves the usability of the product and turns it into a meaningful and satisfying experience for the user. Okay, I keep on using the word design or designing, but what does it mean by designing? So in general, I mean, even for me, before I started my career in UX, right? When I use the word design, or when I talk about design, or when people talk about design, the first thing that came to our mind is always about aesthetic. It's always about the beauty or the visual presentation of stuff, right? For example, if you're talking about interior design, you always think about the colors of the chair. You can always think about the texture of the curtain, for example. You always talk about the lighting. But we also forget, we always forget that designing is also about usability. For example, if you talk about interior design, right? If you're designing a living room, you don't just focus on the colors or the aesthetic. You will also be focused on the usability of the space. For example, when you sit on the couch, right? More important thing is that is everything is within your reach. For example, if you have a coffee table, right? Is the coffee table within your reach when you sit on the chair, or when you get up from or from your sofa, like do you always bump your knee on the coffee table, for example? So all this stuff also belongs to design. But of course, I have to agree that for example, we have this if we have this theory called aesthetic usability effect. Users often perceive a design that is aesthetically pleasing as more usable. For example, if you compare between Instagram and some other app, let's call it like Gambaku, for example, Instagram versus Gambaku, right? So they both provide the same feature, like for you to upload your picture, but but Instagram has a more aesthetically pleasing design compared to Gambaku. So in the end, you would tend to use Instagram because even though the usability is the same, but Instagram as a website looks better. So in the end, aesthetic is also a part of design, a very important part of design, to be honest. But it's not everything about design. So let me provide some example for you guys. Okay, I hope that everyone in the call here can engage with this. So this is a website. I mean, these two are example of websites, government websites to be more precise. On the left is a Malaysian government website, and on the right, the UK government's website. So I would give you a few seconds to look at these websites, and I need you to tell me which one has a better better user experience. Okay, just look at this, study it for a bit, and let me show you next page. I think you guys are done. Okay, you can just take a look at it for a while. All done, yeah. I assume that all is good. Okay. Which if you the Malaysian web user experience, can you please raise your hand? Okay. How many people are raising their hand? I'm not sure. One, two. Okay, can we reset that? Okay. Which one of you guys think that the UK website has a better user experience? Come. Okay. Why? It's about the same number. It's okay. Okay. So aesthetically, I prefer the color on the left. Like I feel like this blue color is very boring. It looks so Spartan for me. It looks like a freaking clinic, and this one is a bit more easy on the eye. But in terms of user experience, the website on the right, which is from UK, definitely wins. And why do I say that? Let me explain it to you. When you look at this options, right? It's very simplified. You can see that there's a title here, benefits, and then there's a short description of it. And you can see that birth, death, marriage, and care, and there's a short description of it. And it's very easy to scan through because you don't have too many text here. But if you look at this website from Malaysia, you can see that okay, they have a header here for each boxes, but they have this long list of things that will not help you when you want to scan through the website. So this is not a good user experience. So imagine if I'm looking at the UK website, right, and I'm looking for benefits. I see here or benefits, and there's a short description of it, and I just click on it. But if let's say I'm looking at this website, I would have to go through the list one by one, and this would increase what we call cognitive load when I'm like skimming through the website, and this is not a good user experience. And I think the second screen demonstrates this better. So I would like for you guys to look here, and you can see that these boxes are very organized. So the format is the same. There's an image, there's a header, and there's also subheader, and it's consistent throughout the website. Like all three use the same design. But when you look at this one, okay, they still try their best to repeat the same. They still try their best to be consistent. They have a header for all three boxes. But then when you see into the content, like okay, this one is a list. Okay, this one is I don't know what, and then there's a button, and then suddenly this one does the field to enter some text. So when you skim through the website, right? If you look at the website on the right, it's easy to skim through because the format is consistent. But for this one, when you skim through the boxes, it's very hard for you to jump from one to the other because the format is very different. So this shows that user experience goes beyond aesthetic, regardless of whether the website looks good or not. Design is something more than aesthetic. So where do I, example, imagine if I was in the discussion to finalize this website, right? And I see the website on the right. Imagine if I'm working for the Malaysian government website and I see that these boxes are like this, right? What I would do is that I would raise this. Okay, I think we need to make this consistent, similar to the UK website. So that's my role. My role is to always be the champion of content, to always make sure that the information in my website or my app is easily accessible. So I need to make sure that if, let's say, you guys are looking for hot topic, for example, I don't know what this means, hot topic. I need to make sure that you guys are able to find hot topic in my website in seconds. So if, let's say, you guys are looking for hot topic in my website and you guys can't find it, right, it means that I fail as a UX writer. But at the same time, I also write. So most of the time, what I write is text that appear in the user interface, such as buttons, menus, notifications, navigation elements, and success and error messages. So if you talk about actual writing, these are the things that I write every single day. And this is a classic example of bad UX writing. Okay, I need someone to read this and explain to me what it means. Come, one of you guys, come volunteer. Anyone want to volunteer? Anyone can explain what this error message means? No volunteer? You guys are too scared to try? It's okay. It's okay. I don't need any volunteer because no one can explain what it means. No one can explain what it means. This is all gibberish, and the only person that might be able to explain this is the one working on the back end for this error message. Because yeah, this is a classic example of very, very, very bad UX writing. It doesn't mean anything to the user. It doesn't tell the user what happened, and it doesn't tell user like what they can do to solve this problem. The following information was found for this error, code blah 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 blah, description, and okay. This is bad UX writing. So if, let's say, you guys are hired as a UX writer and you are guys who write like this, you guys should fire yourself because like, this is not a good UX writing. Okay, this is a more funny example. This is just like the guys really really want to make you laugh. Like, whoopsie daisy, blah blah blah, error occurred and it's your fault, loser. So this is really bad. This is worse than the previous one. And obviously, this is not an actual example, but you guys get what I mean. So the differences between copywriter, content writer, and UX writer. Okay, now that we're talking about this, I would like to demystify some of the differences, because even until today, right, people still think that I'm a copywriter. So one of the tips that I would like to share with you guys, if you look for UX writing job, right, and the title of the role is UX copywriter, I would advise you to not apply, because most of the time they don't even know like what is the role of UX writer, and you will suffer. So okay, you guys need to jot this down. I think if you apply, if you're looking for UX writing role, and you guys see UX copywriter, like, try your best not to apply for that role, because yeah, you will suffer. Okay, the differences between copywriter versus content writer and UX writer. Okay, let's go through copywriter first. Their goal is always to convert right. They need to write it in a way that would trigger you to stop your car and purchase the handbag immediately. So that's the goal for copywriter. And their general style is to write like a salesman. Their success metric is conversion rate. Sorry, I'm using like a bit of technical term. Conversion rate means converting non-buyer to buyer, or just pushing people to buy stuff that they're selling. Should the reader be aware that they are reading? They should get into what you're reading. Like what you write should engage in their psyche and trigger some emotions into them. For example, okay, the best example is the Siti Khadijah ads on the billboard. nak sangat pakai telekong sedia Khadijah kan. Like that is I'm not sure to say whether it's good or not, but it's appealing to your emotion and it triggers you to buy for your mom. Okay, that's literally the goal of copywriters. Okay, for content writer it's a bit different. So as I mentioned just now, content writer write like a bit. They write long form for websites. So their goal is always to create quality content, and their general style is to engage the rider. Success metric is the reading comprehension, and for more, you would realize that you are reading. Okay. And then uh, uh, the last one that we talk as a user, my goal is to create a user experience. Right. It's on the bike of scrolling the feed and getting addicted to Facebook is happening smoothly. That's the goal of UX writing. So general style, it's all about being clear, concise, and useful. Success metric is all about task completion. For example, if I'm writing for Shopee, my success metric is how many people are completing the transaction, like how many people fail to complete the transaction and so on. And should the readers be aware that they are reading my copies? They shouldn't. They should 100% focus on what they are doing. So these are the key differences between copywriting, content writing, and UX writing. So like discussing with my team, that's it. And I would only write at the very end of the process. So UX writing is 90% collaborating with your team to solve the problem plus 10% writing. Okay. Which means that if you are looking forward to write long ass articles, you're looking to write paragraphs after paragraph after paragraphs, this might not be for you. But if you are looking to solve problems in real world and apply it in a very concise way, you might be interested to explore UX writing. So these are when I work. So these are the double diamond model. This is how I work. So when I get a new problem statement, I will discuss it with my team. Words. Come on, guys. Anyone want to try?
Maybe like use the name of the hotel and let put it in a word like people can relate to it.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Good try. Good try. But I can promise you that the solution will blow your mind. Okay.
Can I try?
Yes. Sure.
Putting
Sure.
like the cost, like how much the customers have to pay to stay in that hotel. It's easier
Got
for
it.
them to
That's
see.
quite close actually. That's quite close. Closer than the previous answer. That's quite close. Last one. Last try. Come on. Anyone want to try? Sorry, I don't have any prize for you guys, but maybe you can brag with your friends after this. Okay. Okay. It's okay. I will reveal the answer. Three, two, one. Ta-da. So this is actually a true story. For I can't remember like what booking app is this. To be honest, I never knew. But the story was by adding this copy, they managed to quadruple the sales, like four times. Because now the user know that when they click on the book button, they won't be charged yet. So a lot of people will start booking because they know that they won't be charged. For example, if you're buying something that is quite expensive, right? You always hesitate to click on the checkout button because you don't want to spend. Like in the end, we are risk averse. We don't want to spend. But if you know that when you click on the book button, you won't be charged yet, you would definitely click on it. So this guy is freaking genius. Just by adding this copy beside or wherever it is near the checkout button, they managed to increase the sales four times. That is crazy. That is crazy. So that's how impactful you can be as a UX writer. So good UX writer help the user, better UX writer like really improve the experience and make people addicted to it. And the best UX writer will be able to help the business uh, reach their ultimate goal, which is to make money. Yeah, in the end, all businesses want to make money, and for this UX writer, he has succeeded in fulfilling that role. Okay, so now I've explained to you guys about UX writing. Uh, I would like to open the floor for a while for anyone to ask questions. Anyone that is in this call before I proceed, because I'm quite tired actually. Anyone? Anyone has any question? Okay, if there's no question, let's proceed. So what's so great about UX writing? Okay. So why I love my job so much? Like to be honest, okay, I've been working for, okay, let me remember correctly. I think I've been working for a total of almost 8 years. And actually I just started as a UX writer last year. So I've only been a UX writer for less than 2 years, I think a year and a half. And it was the best experience so far. Like all my previous jobs are really shit. And I really regret not pursuing this career earlier because UX writing is so fulfilling. So with every new projects, I always face new challenge, and I think in the end, my conclusion is that I'm really addicted to solving problems. I'm really addicted to like engaging with my team because when you are in a product team, like you are surrounded by all these brilliant people who are really smart and they are all you're all working together to solve the same problem with the same goal, and it's just really stimulating to engage in those kind of activities every single day. And one of the reasons why I really enjoy my job is also because I can see the impact of my writing. For example, if you talk about copywriting, right, and you're writing for a billboard, and doesn't matter how good you're writing your copies on the billboard, right, you won't know how many people are affected by it and buy your product. You won't know because there's no way for you to measure that. Like there's no way for you to measure, like for example, when you buy a car, right, you won't fill in a form telling that, okay, I buy this because I saw the copy on a billboard in MR2, for example. You would never do that. So you won't know like what is the impact of your writing. But for UX writing, you'll be able to know. An example, I will show you an example. Okay, this is what I did for my previous job. So this is the old copy, and this is a new copy. So this is a button. When you click on this button, it's the same button, but this is a newer version with the new copy. So when you click on this, right, it will lead you to the referral section where the users, customers can refer their friends and get vouchers. So I changed it from this copy to this one. Sorry, RP 25K is rupiah. So back then I was working in an Asian company, and that's why we are not using RM here. So this is a very textbook fix actually. This is nothing mind blowing. So what I did was I front load. Front load means that you move the most important word like to the front, refer, and get 25 rupiah and free delivery voucher. So I put all the rewards in the headline so that it's clear for them when they read, okay, I refer and I get this. Like this is so much better than this previous copy. And your friends will get the same voucher too. So you see, like the way they and when you refer your friends, you will get a voucher and your friends will also get a voucher. So the way they explain it here is so convoluted, and I simplify it into this elegant lines. Okay, so I can see the result of the fix that I made. Okay, this is made by my product analytics guy. So you can see that the new variant, well, okay, what it means by this graph, right, is when people see this button, how many people click on it. So the old variant, right, only 7% people would click on the previous copy. But after I change it to this one, it increased to 17%. So it literally doubled. So just by making a small tweak on the copy, I managed to increase the click rate. So 17% might sound small to you, but imagine if you are using a website, right, you won't click on all the elements that you see on your website. You will click on only elements that is necessary and only what attracts your attention. So I managed to increase the attention to the button from 7% to 17. That's crazy. And then this one is all about people actually using the feature. So the old variant, there's only 3%. So only 3% of users are using the referral feature. But after I change it to this copy, I managed to increase it to 7%. So I can clearly see the impact of my writing, and it's quantifiable. And I can so now I know that every time I change this copy from a simplified version like this, I know that it will create an impact to my customer. Yeah, it's you can measure your success very easily with UX writing. And why you should become a UX writer. So uh, I would say that there's a lot of factors to consider when you're considering your first career, right? But for UX writing, this is the facts for now. There's very high demand for UX writer, and the salary is quite competitive. So a bit of a story. When I was in Happy Fresh, what happened to me is that the company shut down. So Happy Fresh is actually an Indonesian company, so they have branches in Malaysia and also Thailand. So because of some financial situation, which I'm not going to explain too much, they shut down their branches in Malaysia and Indonesia. So I got laid off, and I managed to land my next job, which is in Maybank, in, I would say, less than a month, or like maybe 2 months. I can't really remember. So there's always a demand for UX writer, because as you can see, like a lot of, like nowadays there's so many apps, whether you're talking about Malaysia or globally, there's so many apps, and all these apps, they would require people to write for them. They will need UX writer eventually. So there's always a high demand for this, and there's not many UX writer out there. When I was in Happy Fresh, I need to recruit new UX writers, right? And I can promise you that it's freaking hard for me to look for a UX writer, and it's harder for me to find a good UX writer. So there's so many copywriters out there. There's so many journalists out there. There's so many content writers out there. But for UX writing, this thing is very new. And if you are one of the pioneers, it's very easy for you to land your first UX writing job. And the salary is quite competitive. Uh, so as I mentioned just now, I just moved into this field like the last year, and now I've been doing UX writing for a year and a half. And I'm not going to disclose like numbers, but but my salary literally doubled from what I have before this. So not just double, but it's more than double actually. So that's crazy. If I know, I would have pursued this career from the start. Okay. And number two, it also opens up other career opportunity in tech. So once you become a UX writer, you will learn all about product development, which I'm not going to explain now, but you can move into, I mean, once you started as a UX writer, you can become a UX designer if you're into designing. And you can all, if you have the talent for managing people or managing projects, you can start learning on how to become a product manager, and you can migrate into that line of profession. And yeah, because I think there's a lot of opportunity in tech, and people assume that when you want to work in tech, you need to know how to code. That's not true. Like, code for developers and engineers, they really need to code lah, because that's their job. But for other roles, you don't really need to know how to code. There's so many other skills that they need that is not coding in order to develop a website or an app, and one of them is writing. And Benno students, you guys can write. I'm sure you guys can write. So like, this is the opportunity for you guys. And number three, of course, to be at the forefront of technological advancement. So if you are somebody who really love apps, really love technology, this is definitely a place for you guys. What makes a good UX writer? This is very important. Number one, of course, you need to be a good writer. It's writer role. Like, if you're not good at writing, then you need to start improving your writing skill. Number two is empathy, because UX writing is all about understanding your customer and trying to solve their problems. Number three is curiosity. So you need to ask a lot of questions. When you write copies, you need to ask so many people. You need to make sure that what you write is accurate and would solve the problem. Number three, okay, this is very important. You need to be articulate, because once you write something and you present it to your team members, they will shit on your writing for sure. They will poke holes in your writing, and that is not a bad thing. That is actually a very good thing, because everyone in the team is working to achieve the same goal, which is to provide the best user experience, and they would question, why are you writing it this way? Why are you writing it that way? So as for a good UX writer will be able to make the best writing decision, and at the same time they would be able to justify to their team members, to tell them, okay, I'm writing it this way because blah 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 blah. Because in the end, you are the champion of content, and you know what you are doing. So you need to be able to explain to people so that you won't be someone who are really easily swayed by other arguments. Like, you know that you're writing it this way because it's good, but and then you change your mind because you are not able to convince your stakeholders, right? That's not good. So you need to be able to argue, you need to be able to articulate your points whenever you are in those discussions. Number five is you need to be data driven. For example, what I showed you guys just now, the graph, you need to be able to think analytically and make data driven decision. So for example, you can't just make a writing decision based on your whim and desire, based on your instinct. Yeah, instinct is good, because in the end, writers would have like an instinct on what makes a writing good or not. But in the end, for user experience, it's driven by result. If let's say I use a method that is proven to work, but because of my customer base, it doesn't work for my specific customer base, then I need to change my approach depending on the customer base. And number six is, of course, you need to be collaborative, because UX writing is a profession which require you to really talk to people, engage with them, and get the best out of all these people. Because in the end, you are writing for the whole team. They are not writers, but they have all this knowledge and all these ideas, and you need to engage with them and translate whatever that is in their brain into the best copies that you can produce. And lots of love for apps and technology, of course. I'm sure you guys love apps. Okay, sorry, let's skip this. Donate to my daughter's diaper fund. She's not a baby anymore. Uh, okay. Any questions from you guys before I proceed with the final section?
Uh, Hello. Okay.
Yep.
There are questions that are proposed in the YouTube live from the
Okay.
participants.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So first of all, does it require any experience to apply for UX writing? For example, working as copywriter or any work related to UX writer?
Okay. I'm about to answer that question in the next section. Yeah.
Okay. Another one. Oh, maybe this one is for the next section also.
Mhm.
Is it difficult to be hired when one is not academically trained in the UX development?
Okay. Now, at this point of time, right, there's no certified academic body that provides you with UX writing certificate. There's no degree in UX writing. There's no diploma in UX writing. So what we have right now is kind of like free courses out there, which 50% of them are scams, but 50% of them are really good. So I myself have never attended all those classes because I learned myself, because it's 2023, guys. You don't have to like attend like proper class in order to learn something. Back when I was in Happy Fresh, my lead my tech lead is the head of the website developers, right? My tech lead never have any degree in computer science. He learned coding by himself. That's crazy. Like, if and coding is million times harder than UX writing. So if he can do that, you can. Like, you don't need to attend all these classes. You can just read by reading all these articles, with which I'm not sure if I have this in my slide, which I will share with you guys later. Or yeah, I will tell you guys what you need to do. Okay. And I'm sorry, but this talk is a bit more general. So if, let's say, you guys are more interested in learning about all the technicalities and to dive deeper, I can organize like another session, or maybe, I don't know, like, if it it sounds, now that some people are interested, it makes sense for it to actually be one of the subject in your courses, to be honest, because the corpus for this field is growing, and we have like definitely more than 20 books that can be easily translated into course outline, and we're going to teach it to you guys, but I'm not sure when that's going to happen because I'm freaking busy right now. Any questions before I proceed? Okay, let's proceed. How to land your first UX writing job, or okay, I forgot to address this. Maybe not your first UX writing job, but this can also apply to land your first UX writing internship, for example. Okay, number one is never stop learning. This is very important because UX writing is a very, very, very new field, and it evolves like at a very crazy pace. So whatever, like, this is very true. Whatever that I'm teaching you guys right now, there's a chance that it might be obsolete in next year because this thing is moving so fast. So you need to never stop learning. Until today, I still read books about UX writing. I have like multiple books in my Kindle that requires me to finish, but I just don't have the time because I'm so busy right now. But you need to constantly learn and read books and read articles out there. So if you guys want to start, this is the 3 must-read book for me. Number one, Microcopy the Complete Guide. So this will help you. This this book will teach you how to write specifically for different app elements. This one, the second book is Information Architecture. So this one is a bit. It's not strictly UX writing, but it will tell you more about information architecture. On information architecture is all about uh, making sure that when a user come to your app or website, you need to make sure that they can find what they're looking for easily. So if the user can't find what they're looking for in your app or website, which means that that website has a very, very bad UX, information architecture. Number three is writing is designing. So writing is designing is more focused on the 90% that I mentioned just now, things that is not writing, collaborating, researching, and blah blah blah, all those stuff. So if you want to become a UX writer, I can promise you that if you read these 3 books, right, you can definitely land your first UX writing job. You will be able to impress your interviewer in no time, but you need to finish all these 3 books. Should you take online UX writing course? Okay, I think I answered this partially just now. So it depends. If, let's say, you don't have the money because it's quite expensive, it's okay for you to just study from whatever free materials that is available online. But if you are literally driving Mercedes to class, then yeah, you can spend some money and attend these classes because it will definitely benefit you for sure. Number two is to practice, 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 and practice. So I can't remember what's the name of the website. So there's a website where you can subscribe online, and it will send you a UX writing challenge every day for 20 days, if I'm not mistaken. So you can do that and try your best to do this exercise, because doing UX writing exercise is very important, because the moment you apply for a UX writing job, if, let's say, regardless of whether you will face this before your interview or after your interview, they will definitely send you a UX writing test, and you need to nail that test. And it's hard because I was back then when I was in Happy Fresh. I created our UX writing test, and it's hard. You need to know UX writing before you can answer those questions. Back then, I remember I was also like you guys, starting to do my first UX writing exercise. And if I look back at whatever that I've done back then, right, it's very bad. It was very bad. So you need to really practice. Number three is to document your thinking and crafting process. So when you write your copies for UX, right, you need to write not just the copies itself, but you need to write your thinking process. You need to write how you come up with this copy. You need to write the detail of your research and everything, because it is very important. Because in the end, you need to build a UX writing portfolio. Okay, so when you're building a UX writing portfolio, you can't just, okay, these are my copies, blah blah blah, without any explanation. The explanations are actually more important than the copies that you produce, because we, as the hiring managers, we need to we can't get inside your head to know like what you're thinking while you're writing those copies, right? So you need to put all your thought process on paper, so that we can understand like at what level you are at right now. Because in the end, as I mentioned just now, UX writing is not about, it's just 10% about writing. It's 90% about user designing the user experience. So you need to, I mean, in your portfolio, I mean, portfolio itself can be like an 2 hour talk actually, but you can just Google and find online examples of UX writing portfolio, and you can just follow those examples, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Step five, okay, this is very important, and it's definitely something I can do now. Connect with UX writing community. So do you guys have LinkedIn account? Raise your hand if you have a LinkedIn account. Okay, if you don't have a LinkedIn account, go and create a LinkedIn account now. Like, delete all those other accounts, TikTok, Instagram, whatever, because all those are not important. Create a LinkedIn account. And this is not only relevant for UX writing, this is relevant for any other profession. For example, if you want to be a copywriter, open your LinkedIn account and start adding all those like thought leaders, people who are famous for UX writing. And that's how you learn. That's how I learn about UX writing, by engaging with all these people online. Because okay, you've attended my talk, right? And you're just learning from one person, which is me. But if you go into the community, and in this case LinkedIn, and you engage with them, you can learn from thousands of people from all across the world. And another thing that I want to highlight is ADP list. Write that down. Yeah, let me write it in the comment. Yeah, I can't comment. ADP list. AD, Australia, Denmark, Portugal, list, LIST. So ADP list is a platform where experienced people are providing mentorship to anybody that needs it. So when I was using ADP list, I managed to talk to UX writer from Australia. I have a problem that I need to solve, and I just want to like have someone to bounce ideas. So I engaged with this. I can't remember what his name. I think Kevin Boy or something. So I talked to him, present my problems, and he helped me solve my problem. So it's amazing. Like in 2023, you can talk to people from all across the border and have them to help solve your problems, and to find like people who share the same passion. Like, it's really amazing. And you have all the success, like, do it now, don't waste your time. Step 6 is to practice presenting your portfolio. So imagine, let's say in the future, you already have your portfolio, right? You need to practice presenting it, because in the end, during the interview session, you will be requested to present your portfolio. So whatever that you have in your portfolio later, you will need to practice presenting it in the best way possible in order to land your first job. Step 7, apply for your dream job and get ready for the interview. And yeah, that's it. I mean, I'm sorry it's not as detailed as you guys expect, but we only have so much time. Okay, a recap. So today we managed to talk about what is UX writing, what's so great about it, and how to land your first UX writing job. And hopefully, this session is beneficial to you guys. And let's go to the Q&A session.
Um, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay.
Shoot.
So, the question is, when you were a student in IIM, right? were you exposed to this kind of thing, or you just found out about it after graduating?
I found out about UX writing when I was in Grab actually. Back in Grab, I really fell in love with UX writing because it just blew my mind to know that wow, there's a specific role where people just literally write for the website, and I start exploring about UX writing. And yeah, that's the first time I heard about UX writing. So to answer your question, no. I think back in 2016 when I graduated, I don't think it's as famous as now. Yeah. But yeah, but you guys have it better. Like you guys have me explaining about this to you guys. Don't waste this opportunity if you guys are interested to explore UX writing. Any questions from the people who are watching on YouTube?
I have two questions. May I ask?
Yeah, sure.
So the first one is that you mentioned that people usually look for journalists for writing career. Is it the same as US writers?
Uh, Sorry, can you clarify your question?
Um,
What do you mean by that?
you
Yeah.
mentioned before.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned before that in your earlier in the beginning of your talk
Mm-hmm.
that people usually look for journalists for
Mm-hmm.
writing career. Is it the same for you as writers? Do company
Oh,
prefer
okay, got
people?
it, got it, got it. I think not really because people don't really know what UX writing is. So when they see UX writer, they don't know like they're not exposed to the role, so they won't hire UX writer for other roles unless you really apply and manage to attend the interview. Journalist is, as I mentioned, journalist as a profession has existed for thousands of years, so people are confident in the brand. But for UX writer, I think only people that is in tech industry know like UX writer. But I believe that once you become a UX writer, I think it's quite rare for people to go back to whatever their previous profession is. Yeah.
My second question is that when companies searching for US writers,
Mm-hmm.
what what does make a candidate stand out from the others? You mentioned portfolio and also their
Oh, okay.
success. Anything
Got it.
else?
Got it. Got it. Got it. Uh okay, this is quite challenging. If I believe that if you want to land your first UX writing job, right, it might be hard for you to land one without having any prior experience in UX writing. So what I would suggest is for you to try if let's say you are like, wow, I'm really into this thing, do or die. I would never want to do anything else in my life. UX writing forever. My suggestion is for you to try your best to land an internship as a UX writer. And then once you have that, put it in your resume, and for sure you will be considered. But if you have nothing in your resume that relates to UX writing, it's going to be very hard, to be honest. It's going to be very, very, very hard. The only reason why I managed to land my first UX writing job is back in Grab. I was collaborating closely with the UX writer, and thank God I put that in my resume. So that's why, because when you submit your resume, right, most of the time, the first screening is not done by human being. It's done by robot, like AI or whatever you want to call it lah. It's through a program, so it will detect all these keywords, right? So in the end, what you need to do is make sure that in your resume there's UX writing. There's a keyword UX writing. Yeah, but in order for you to legitimately put that, you need to have an actual experience in UX writing for sure. So the easiest way for you to get that is by doing internship. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm looking for interns in the future, but maybe yeah. If I do, I will definitely tell you guys. But I'm sure that it will be one spot, and you guys need to compete with each other. Okay. Anything else?
Okay, there's this one question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this person was asking, you said that this job is actually on high demand, right? right now,
Mhm.
right? So like usually in a company,
Sorry, your video froze, or is it my connection?
UX writers are there.
Sorry, can you repeat your
Hear me?
question? Because we lost you for quite a while just now.
Her internet is not really good. I'll ask the question.
Okay.
She wants to know usually in a company how many UX writers are there?
Oh, okay, good question. So when I was in Happy Fresh, right? Okay, 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 for the companies that require UX writer, like let's divide it into two groups. One is companies who have actual real world business. One is business that is purely online. Purely online, for example, social media, Shopee, and all those stuff. With actual business, for example, communication services, Maxis, banks, like all those businesses where they have an actual business and they are migrating it online. Okay. So for startups, right? I'm not sure if you guys are aware of what a startup is, but startups are usually very small, very lean, and they try their best to keep their teams small. Sometimes one startup might have one UX writer. That's what happened to me back in Happy Fresh. When I started, I was the first UX writer in the company, and it was crazy. It was crazy because I was literally writing for 7 different teams. Yeah, it was crazy. I don't know how to explain it. It was crazy. But then we decided to hire two more UX writer, one from Indonesia, one from Thailand. But then sadly the company closed down before we even managed to start working together. So usually, in an ideal situation, right? For now, I'm working in Maybank, right? And Maybank, for our apps, we have so many different teams. I can't even recall how many teams are there. So the ideal situation is for you to have one UX writer per team. So it's usually maybe two UX designer, one UX writer, and for UX, I'm not addressing like other teams. So usually that's the case, but it depends on the size of the company. It depends on their financial capability to hire as many UX writers as possible. But if let's say you are the only UX writer in the company, right, it's actually a very, very good opportunity for you to learn, because you'll be doing everything. And that's what happened to me. And I learned so much in the course of 1 year. And yeah, if you are about to get hired in that kind of situation, don't be scared. Use it, and I'm sure that you will grow so much out of that experience. Yeah. And for companies that might need UX writer, right? Usually it's your app company, Facebook, Twitter, uh, your social media companies, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, or maybe it could be sorry, I have a list, but I forgot where it is. So it could be like maybe delivery company, for example, Grab, Shopee, Lazada, or it could be uh, you can also work for agencies, but I wouldn't advise you to go into agencies as your first UX writing role. You can also write for games, for example. Games would also require UX writer. I think the practice is a bit different. I've never worked for a game company before, but they would also require UX writers. What else? Okay, banks and also telecommunication services. For example, apps like Celcom app, Maxis app, or Maybank app. So all those well, basically when you scroll through your app store, right? All those apps, they will require UX writer to work on the copies. So these are your job opportunities. Open the Play Store, and those are your job opportunities. Any more questions from you guys? Are we good to end the session? Yep.
There's another question from the participants.
Mm-hmm.
So you said earlier that the best way to get hired as UX writer is to learn internship as UX writer, right? But
Mm-hmm.
even to be UX writer intern, what should we prepare to get to the internship?
The 7 things that I mentioned just now. Remember, there's the long ass list, 7 things that you need to do. Complete that, and
Yes.
it will increase your chance of getting hired as a UX writing intern. Yeah. I mean, whatever that I talk about in those lists, it applies to both internship and also actual UX writing role. Yeah, it applies for both.
Okay, I think that's all for
That's
now.
all. Yep. Okay. Okay, let's end this session with a quote by this professor from MIT. Your success in life will be determined largely by number one, your ability to speak, number two, your ability to write, number three, the quality of your ideas. So all these three elements are essential in your success in whatever that you're doing generally and also as a UX writer. So keep in mind that regardless of how good you are in whatever you're doing, in order for you to raise above the masses and for you to achieve that 1% of success is these three elements. Yeah, keep that in mind and you will succeed in your life for sure. That's it. Thank you. All the best, future UX writers.
Okay, thank you so much. So, on behalf of the Secretary of English Language and Literature, I would like to thank Mr. Afham Adnan for accepting our invitation and sharing all his knowledge and skills with us today. So, in this opportunity, also, I would like to also thank our guests and our participants on YouTube Live for spending some time to be present here. Brothers and sisters, let us give a round of applause to our fantastic speaker today from behind the screen. So I would like to also extend our gratitude to all of you for participating in this event today. Your active participation in this event today truly matters. So that marks the end of our event. So participants, we kindly seek your cooperation to click on the feedback form link in the comment section for the purpose of our evaluation. So, on behalf of the committee, I would like to also apologize for any shortcomings. All praises are to Allah. The good things come from Him, and the bad things come from our own weaknesses. I, on behalf of the events committee, really hope all of you had a great time today. And thank you very much for staying with us until the very, very end. So, we close this event with the recitation of Tasbih Faras and Surah Al-As. Okay, guys, we wrap up our session today. Thank you so much for joining our event for today. And thank you, Mr. Afam Adnan, again for sharing, for all the
Okay.
sharing of today's session.
Thank you. See you guys soon.
Can we have a photography session?